videos to reiterate some of the stuff, because it's a lot of videos where it's a lot of information, but in like one video, so it's one of the reasons why I try to repeat a lot of this stuff so I can have it in multiple places, because I can't remember what video it's in. And it's hard for me to track down some of these videos to give you guys information or point you in the right direction as to where I said what. So, for the evolutionist people, the people, it's just nonsense. The stuff that people believe in, it's crazy, but it's understandable, because if you went to school, or if you believe in people and their teachings, and somebody got degrees or what have you, and TV is telling you something, and people are going to accept, if they don't do no research. But yeah, talked about the whole thing with the Neanderthals, and I broke this whole thing down, and it's people who still want to believe it. Now, if you have hate in your heart and you want to believe in racist monkey blood and people evolving from monkeys or what have you, and you want to believe in all that, just believe in what you want to believe in. You have to look at common sense and what's there, and who's a real scientist that really put out information that makes sense. So, I broke down with Neanderthals, and I told you guys, if you believe in Neanderthals, do you believe that white skin existed before black skin? So just understand that. And you have to look at the evolution chart. And I gave it to you guys in my book, and I gave it to you in the video. And, on the Smithsonian website, they'll tell you clear as day, because they're giving you all this Neanderthal talk and, depictions. They'll tell you that, humans, we share a common ancestor with primates. And it's this whole misconception that we evolved from primates. Clear as day, you look at a monkey hand, you look at your hand, you can see the resemblance. We have their DNA genes. We share genes with them and many, many other animals. But it's not that we came from them, that we share a common ancestor. That common ancestor is called the missing link. We don't know what it is. And it's one of the things that you scratch your head that, okay, well, how can you give us this evolution chart and you have a question mark where this missing link is supposed to be, and you don't know what it is or what it looked like? It's questionable. If you can give us an evolution chart, that means you have some type of DNA or some type of information where you were able to determine that this, Homo sapien, Homo australopithecus, Homo erectus, all that, Asian Homo erectus, whatever. You have some type of information or DNA to where you can prove that these things exist. So it's where you look at the Neanderthal and you look at, Homo heidelbergensis, dark skin, light skin. And this is before Homo sapiens, which would be us. But Smithsonian tells you on the website that, we have a common ancestor. They don't know what it is. So then you follow the evolution chart and you see, well, okay, you get this Asian Homo erectus and what have you, all the way to us. And we have the missing link. So what is the missing link? It has to be something that looks, like us, or, like a primate. So with Homo australopithecus africanus or Homo australopithecus afarensis, whatever one you want to go to, we have them at this beginning of this evolution chart. And then we see it going up, and, we get the Lucy bones and Homo sapien, Homo erectus, and, so on and so forth. And it's like, okay, boom, we have this scale that they've given us. And I talked about how you have Dr. Jun Lee, who is a Chinese professor who, took it upon himself to find out what was going on with this Asian Homo erectus, and them believing that Chinese people evolved separately from everybody else. And what he did was he did his own research, and they did a huge study, like 20,000 people. And they basically tried to match this DNA from these Asians, these Chinese people, with this Asian Homo erectus. And, nobody matched. But every single one of them matched Africans, their African ancestors, which showed them that they came from Africa. And I touched on the Sand people of South Africa. So when you Google them, Sand people, South Africa, you see these people, this is Africans. This is South Africa. You clearly see that this is where Asians came from. And I talked about, my experience. I've been all over the world. When I went to Thailand, I talked about the Mani. You look at the Mani people, you Google them, look at them. This is the indigenous people of Thailand. They have dark skin, they have afros. So on my trip to Thailand, I drove the entire North Thailand. Everywhere, small villages all over. I talked about Prat, walked in there, and I could have been Jay-Z. Whole village shut down, got quiet. Everybody was staring at me. It was crazy. And these were cool people. And, some of the kids were scared. And, everybody came up to me and they was touching my skin. And what they called me basically translated to the old ones, one of the old ones. So they're talking about the Mani, who the Mani just stay to themselves. They don't really bother nobody. People will help them out when they come down there. But the elders knew who the indigenous people were and that they looked like me, which was dope. So I got a little bit of a history lesson and learned some stuff, being around these people. But you got to understand that, everybody looked like us at one point. And, you go back to the ancient world, talked about the dark skinned gods and Buddhism and how all of these ancient sites, when you go back to them, you see dark skinned people. This is not something to try to push, race dominance and say that, we're better than everybody else and all this and that. It's facts and truth, Can't stand it when we talk about this information, people jump out and say racism or we're trying to, assert dominance over all other races or what have you. It's facts. It's truth. It's stuff you can go look up yourself, and it is what it is. No matter what you believe, this is truth. And when you start looking back, that's what you find. You see this and it's all over the place. The point is to put it in context with this belief in evolution and how things were changed. Like, you can't just go strictly off Darwinism and just say this is how it was. You got to understand what they changed to make stuff, fit. Because if they're going to go so far as to give us the Bible and give us these paintings of white Jesus and ain't no black people in heaven, we grew up seeing nothing but white angels, nothing but white Jesus and white prophets or what have you, then what makes you think they're not going to, go ahead and touch on the evolution theory? Of course, they're going to go and mess with that as well, because it's what they're doing. It's what's going to be taught. So we got to go back in the same context as, understanding biblical history and the history that they gave us in almost every aspect and say, where is the bullshit? And this is bullshit. So, it's going to be tough for people to accept, what I'm basically saying. And I broke it down more deeply in a video, with the Neanderthal. And yeah, they say that white people share Neanderthal genes, Asians, Neanderthal genes. Black people, we don't have no Neanderthal genes. So they're trying to give you this context that we are something different. And the question is, because Smithsonian will tell you, that the Neanderthal at some point made it with, the Homo sapien, which made it with black people, Africans. And that is what created the white race. And as I said, you can't take no Kunta Kinte, Michael Blackson looking African, and you make that with anything, it's not coming out with blonde hair and blue eyes. It's not going to happen. It's just, our genetics is too dominant. It's not going to happen. It don't happen today. There's no reason to believe that it happened back then. I'm not going to get into the whole ice theory, but it's common sense. But we look at that. And then, of course, we look at albinism. And I talked about OCA, the 1, 2, 3, oculocutaneous albinism, and how the patient zero is obviously African people, because we are the only people on the planet that can carry all of the traits of OCA. And that is only indicative of a person that is patient zero, the original, and OCA is hereditary, and every race of people on the planet has it, and it's hereditary. So what does that tell you? We're mommy and daddy. It came from us. We gave it to you guys. It got passed down. And it's a trait of the mutation that took place that Dr. Keith Chang talked about when he found the mutation. So this is not stuff, that's out there. This is stuff that's proven that we have actual genetics to back it up. We have the actual mutation that, Keith Chang put all this stuff up before that they found a long time ago. And it's one of the reasons why we have multiple TED Talk videos breaking this down to where now it's so proven now that they're talking about it. So we can skip all the bullshit. You don't want to believe me? You can go and look up the many TED Talk videos where they're breaking this down. And I gave you guys videos on my Instagram where, they come out and they're telling you like, hey, everybody was black at one point. And this is what happened. The mutation occurred. And whether they want to say it's evolution and they are the new species or whatever they want to, however they want to spin it, they changed everything when they took it back and they told you that, hey, everybody was black at one point. We was here first. So skip all that other bullshit people talking about and what belongs to who or what have you. They're telling you clear as day, white folks, because it ain't just us who was here. So again, we just spinning all this into conquest and what took place once these people came into, the position they came into to be able to take over. And so much stuff that goes into that. But point is, this is what we look back to, really gauge our decision on Christianity. And what, people want to believe who don't understand this whole conscious, argument is that because, we're not on the Christian side, that we somehow are Darwinists, that we believe in Darwinism. And then you have people who don't even understand, comedic science and consciousness and what that really is. You're an atheist. But, what do we believe in? Like, as an atheist, what is our philosophy? Like, what are we talking about? And it's just, you don't have a God. And it's just it. You just want to be, evil and not believe in anything. And it's not that. Just for some people it is, but not for black conscious people. We have a whole bunch that we talk about. But to bring in the Darwin side, bring in the evolution side, and how it fits with religion and how we attack both things, we don't really have to touch Darwinism because it's not something that we need to touch. It's stuff that, is part of all this when you understand. It's not the far-fetched craziness of the Bible. It's stuff that we can, some scientists said this and this is some information. Let's look at it and act accordingly. And that's what we've done. And that's what research is about. Don't just believe what you've been told. And I tell everybody that, don't believe me. Don't just believe what I'm telling you. Go and do your own research. It's just that simple. It's not that we're trying to push stuff on people. It's, hey, I'm trying to help you out. This is what I found. Take a look at it. You choose to accept it, then you accept it. But I expect everybody to go and look for themselves. And that's what people have been doing. And now we at a point where it's information. It's enough out there for people to go and find, whatever they want. But as we know, and this is where it gets into the real shit, everything is in books. I hate to tell you, it's in books. It's so much shit in books that you're not going. And people, that's the thing. Y'all can't fathom this because y'all so caught up in this computer information age. Everything is in books. You're not going to find a lot of this stuff online. You will not find it. You got to buy the book. It's in books. All the knowledge, all the deep shit, everything is in books. And you'll see it's completely different. It's not what you're going to find online. It's going to be in the older books. They're going to be more expensive, and they're expensive for a reason. And you got to read. And they know you're not reading. They know you'd rather look on your phone or try to Google some shit. And this is why so many of these so-called Christian scholars get things wrong, because they don't understand the algorithm. And if your keyword searches and your Googling is going towards people that is, or you're trying to prove something with the Bible, 9 times out of 10 it's going to seem somewhere where the person who put the article together or the information together is a Christian. So you have a biased source, and they're not realizing this. Your research is biased because you're going straight to a Christian source and not really, realizing what this is. It's just something to validate what you want to believe, and you're not doing any constructive criticism, or let's just say real research, and looking at critics and people who are opposed to what you believe in, hearing them out and looking at their information. This is what's going on. And these apologetics, what they try to do is break all this stuff down, this information that exists, but they still don't go into the independent researchers' information and say, hey, this guy said this, and it's completely crush what I believe. They don't do that. They pick the people that's going to fit what they wanted to believe, and that's what they believe. It's just how it is. But yeah, I'm gonna get into this quick video real fast, put out this information. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch. And as I said, I want to get more of this stuff out because I'm just getting bombarded with so many questions that, you know, I have videos and a lot of this stuff already, but you know, it's a lot of people who really believe in this end time stuff and the biblical things. And Christianity is here. It's not going nowhere. And, you know, you have people our age, remember, they are age and they believe, and they had kids and they taught it to their kids. And then now, you know, if you're my age, my son's 21. If he had a kid, you know, in a year or 2 years from now, and if he was a Christian, or those Christians would probably teach their kids the same thing. So we're going to be dealing with this for who knows how long. So the information is going to keep cycling. It's important to know what you know, to learn this stuff, learn as much as possible, and get it out. You know, you learn as much so you can be able to give this information to somebody and, you know, change their mind or hopefully get them into, you know, right knowledge. But yeah, thank you guys for taking the time to watch. See you next video.